So she's at home living with you for about a year.
About a year.
Okay. And so then what started to, how was that for your family?
Well, it really changed things up, that's for sure. I mean, even though we had that extra bedroom, it changed our lifestyle.
So you had her, 2 kids living with you at the time, your husband, a couple dogs too, right? Okay.
Yeah.
And so what about everybody else? How was everybody else dealing with the new house?
Well, you know, they were all very accommodating. I was lucky. My husband and I actually ended up being guardians legally. We had to go through some situations to get that handled, but that was stressful as well. But I just really never felt like she felt like it was home. And I don't want to say it was hugely disruptive, but when you think back what my life was like before I had my mom living with me and when I had her living with me, it kind of really was. Hate to admit it, but I mean, you do what you have to do. And I took that year just to kind of think about what I need to do long term for her. Again, she's 81. At the time, I think she was 79. And she kept talking about going home. And I did take her back to her home just to see how she'd react. And it was very underwhelming. I expected this, I'm so glad to be here. It was just, I don't even know. I can't explain it. She sort of recognized it, but not all the way. So I thought, and then I tried to maybe bring in some care staff to see how she would respond. And she didn't like that at all. She didn't want strangers. She didn't need anybody to help her. So,
how did that make you feel? You bring, so it sounds like you're maybe needing a little bit more help at home, so you bring some in and then that doesn't work. So what was your reaction to that?
It's a little frustrating because I couldn't do anything. I mean, I couldn't go anywhere unless I brought her with me. And unless my daughter or my husband were home or something like that. Which again, I worked at the time, I took a leave of absence, so it was really me. It was really me. So it was definitely an adjustment.
Sounds like you were juggling a lot.
I was really juggling a lot. And then thinking about my mom, you know, I came to the realization ultimately that going to the grocery store, walking my dogs, me taking care of her, it wasn't really the best for her. I wanted her to have friends. I wanted her to have, you know, socialization and friends her age and activities and mental stimulation. And I started looking into ultimately communities for that. But I really felt like, you know, I did what I could at the time. It just wasn't the solution. Living in our home was not the long-term solution.
Now, was the idea of having her live somewhere else, was that an idea that kind of popped into your head and then you pushed it away and then popped back in your head and pushed it away? Or was it something that, you know, you knew from the get-go that you were going to have to do and it was all a process to get to another place?
Well, I think I felt a little guilty even considering it because this is my mother. You know, I just took it like that. I thought, oh my God, what are you doing? You know, you've got your mother. But I did some research. I didn't go into it lightly. You know, I tried going back home. I tried her living with me. I mean, I did all I could do. And I just did some research on communities, you know, memory care, assisted living, to kind of educate myself because it's not what I thought. I mean, these are beautiful, beautiful communities that offer services that would pertain to her and her needs.
So what did you think? You said they weren't what you thought.
I guess I was expecting more of a clinical, you know, feel. I had never needed to look at assisted living or memory care communities before, you know, so I was kind of a novice. So I just went online and made some calls and did some research, and then progressively I got to the point where let me at least check some places out, like go and tour them, just so I could see.
Yeah, a lot of people that I talk to who were kind of coming into that decision about you know, trying to get a loved one into an assisted living facility or some other living situation, oftentimes have this picture of like they're sending their loved one to prison or something, a place where, you know, by their own free will they're not going to be able to get out and they're going to be miserable. Did you have any feelings like that?
Kind of, I did. My grandfather, her father, who lived to be, 96, I think. He was in a nursing home. and visiting him, and my kids were really little at the time, and I just didn't like the atmosphere at all. So in my mind, I guess I was thinking more along those lines, either hospital-like or nursing home atmosphere. I didn't realize what was really out there.
Mm-hmm.
So it was an eye-opening experience, to say the least.
Sure, I think that speaks to maybe how far things have come in the past few decades in terms of options
Right.
For patients that are dealing with cognitive impairment and dementia. So walk me through kind of how you chose a place.
Well, I kind of screened out a lot by just looking at reviews and things like that, and also location.
Like online? Or
Yeah, like Googling, and then also looking at where I live as to where the community would be, so I could know, like, make it convenient.
Sure.
Her younger sister lives at the beach near where my mom used to live, and so I wanted to pick a community that we could all kind of access in the middle, maybe. But my most important thing was just the care level, just kind of getting a feel, again, not knowing what I was getting into. I just literally picked several and started touring them, and just going through what I was going through with my mom, and so I toured probably about 4 to 5 communities. Didn't bring my mom with me, of course. I did that just me. I didn't bring her. And then I ultimately chose a community. She's been in memory care for a year and a half, and she's doing great. It wasn't easy in the beginning. It's not. It's just an adjustment for everybody.
Well, let's talk about that.
Yeah.
So that's a huge transition. Tell me about the first
Oh man, do you
period of
really want
time.
to know?
Yeah,
Do you
absolutely.
really want to know? When I ultimately chose the community, because of her being so physically high functioning, I wanted to see how she would do in assisted living. I just felt like, why not? She's physically able and whatever, so I wanted to try that. And we did. She was a flight risk like no other.
Now, tell everybody what flight risk means.
Boy, did I learn the definition of that. Meaning that she wanted to leave. She was most assisted living communities, you can come and go. There's usually someone at the front desk who could stop you, but the doors, where she is now, the doors open at 8 a.m., they lock down at 8 p.m., residents can come and go as they please. So my mom wanted to leave all the time, and she literally, was trying to leave. They had to stop her. So they day programmed her in memory care because she was such a flight risk, and then they would take her to her apartment at night. So she spent the entire day until probably bedtime in memory care. I really couldn't visit as much because I was a ticket out of there.
Gotcha.
Okay? Yeah, it wasn't easy.
How did you feel, I guess, coming to the facility and knowing that your mom was going to take every chance that she could to get out of the facility?
I felt guilty.